Hello, Mill Spouses, and welcome to another Mill Spouse Influencer Crushing interview. Today, I'm really excited that we have Tiffany Eve Lawrence here with us. She is the mama of With Her Claws Out and No Apologies. She's a Marine Corps wife, mom of two twins, and is a founder and CEO of Covered Cubs. As a speaker and trainer, she gets parents to fiercely protect their kids by enhancing their safety site, helping them build effective boundaries, and giving them the confidence, tools, and guts to trust their instincts. Because of this, Tiffany has been sought out as a parenting expert for conferences and many interviews. She's been a featured speaker for MOPS, United We Parent and Mentoring Mamas, to name a few, and she'll be featured in an upcoming book, Amazing Moms. Tiffany's daily motivation is loving her family and helping parents protect their pride. Tiffany, this is phenomenal, girl. You are killing it. Welcome to the community.
Thank you for having me.
I am really excited you're here. Your bio's fabulous. Your energy's fantastic. I love the way you are giving parents their power back.
Yes.
So I love, and we're going to get all into that in a little bit to get to know a little bit more about your brand. But why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Well, I am a military spouse. My husband is in the Marine Corps. We've been married for about 9 years in November. We're originally from Jacksonville, Florida, and currently in California, which I love. I am the mom of twins. They were born in Japan. I love to be able to say that. My kids were born in Japan.
Right.
And I started my business shortly after they were born. So that's what I've been doing since then.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about your business. What is your business? I mean, we know the name Covered Cubs. Tell us what it all is. Tell us what your business is.
So Covered Cubs is basically a kids, infant, and toddler brand of products. That's how it started out, and now I offer services as well. And it started when I had my kids. I was in Japan, and people were constantly touching them. So this one thing, if you think about it, is what launched everything about Covered Cubs. When I talked to other moms, it seemed like they had an issue with boundaries and enforcing them. So plainly put, they were scared to tell people not to touch their kids.
Right.
And I was like, well, why? Like, who cares about their feelings if it's your child's safety, or if it's teaching your kid body boundaries, or if it's just how you feel. If your instinct is to guard and protect your child, that's what you should go with. So I was like, okay, I got you. I'll help you. And that's why I created Covered Cubs. And since then, it's really grown. I'm so amazed at, what God is doing, because he's the one who put it on my heart, and how it's just developing, and it's becoming more about teaching parents awareness of safety issues, how to enhance their sight. Okay, well, I see that. Let me do this to prevent the danger from happening to my child. How to trust your instincts in spite of the advice you're getting, in spite of what the doctors may say. In spite of what the books say, you're the expert. You're the expert when it comes to your kid, because you know them. You know what's best for them. You know what you sense and what you feel. So take all of that advice, chop it up, and make a meal that fits your family. So that's Covered Cubs.
I love it. So your aha moment, because that was my next question, is like, what was your aha moment? Your aha moment was having that experience yourself and feeling like, I know I have 3 kids, and there were times where I felt almost powerless because people are saying really great things about your kids, but you don't want them to touch because you just saw them put a cigarette out, or you see that they have a cold sore or something. It's almost like you feel powerless. At the same time, you feel bad saying, like, no, don't touch my kids. So tell us, is it a product? I know that you said you provide a service, or you provide products. Tell us about your products.
I do provide products. One of our signature products is a car seat tag, and you hook it onto the car seat, or you can put it on a stroller, and it says, please don't touch baby without permission. Plainly, it's straight to the point, and you don't have to say anything. And I've had moms who are like on their 3rd child, and when they bought the car seat tag, they're like, you know what? People hold their hands behind their back when they're talking about how cute my baby is. And I'm like, awesome. That's the goal. We accomplished it, and you didn't have to say one word. So that's the product. So let's translate that same thing into the service. And what I'm doing now is taking it beyond just them being a baby. Let's talk about how you want to raise your child. Let's talk about the boundaries that you want to create, whether it's you don't want people tickling them, whether it's you don't want them staying the night over their grandmother's house because the drunk uncle comes over all the time. How do you enforce those boundaries? How do you talk to your husband or your spouse to make sure that you're on the same page? And
Yeah.
you can build effective boundaries so that you're not so worried all the time because you know them and the people that care for your kids and are in your circle know the same thing. So the service is speaking to moms groups and doing workshops, doing parenting classes to empower parents when it comes to creating boundaries for their children.
I love it. So tell me, what does your husband think of all this? Like, I would not be surprised if you say he's so proud of you. He's a big supporter, because a lot of times it does take having a supportive spouse to run a successful business as a MilSpouse entrepreneur. But what does he think about all this?
Okay, so my husband is like really big on this entrepreneur thing. First of all, I never set out to say I want a business, it was like, okay, how can I help these moms? How can I help keep kids safe? How can I empower parents? How can I do that? And it just kind of grew from there. And he is like 100% behind me. He's actually the person that reminded me of it when we came to the States, because when we were in Japan, I told him about it. I wrote everything out. He was like, babe, this is awesome. You should do this. I'm like, yeah, I should. All right, let me go feed the kids. So,
Priorities.
yes. So when we got back to the States, he was all in. He was like, let's do this. You got to do it. I was like, you know what? You're right. And I like to say that because I don't think it makes me look like less of a business person. I think it kind of shows how supportive he is, how much of a unit we are, and how much, he's behind me. And he's like, sometimes I depend on him to push me. And it's amazing. I really love that about our relationship.
Oh my gosh, that's a love story, child. So tell me so you said you moved from Japan, you started it in Japan, you moved it over to California. How was that transition as far as, I know on the military side, we all know what to expect, but how did you transition your business? What were some of the struggles you went through? What worked well, what didn't work well, or any advice you have anybody moving their business?
Well, I don't have that story yet because I started it in California.
Got you. Your idea was over there.
Yeah, so when we got to California was when we boots on the ground, let's get it going. The only transition I've had so far was moving it from San Diego to where I'm currently staying, which is just like 50 minutes north. And I'm not that far from my connections, from the groups that I was a part of, the people that I network with. I'm not that far, but I'm getting ready to transition right now because my husband is retiring.
Oh, wow.
And yes. So I'm going to talk to you from like the realist perspective. It is not easy because you're transitioning your family, your kids, your stuff, your business. And when you have a business that includes products, that's a whole nother facet of it, because it's like, okay, how are we going to move these over? Where is our new storage going to be? How is that? So I'm like in the middle of that process. But one thing that I definitely do is reach out to people who have been there and have done it, which is why it's important to have a tribe and a community that totally, like, you match each other. It's like, okay, I can look in the mirror, your mom, your entrepreneur, your military spouse, check. So we relate and work this out. So I definitely am reaching out to people who have been there and done it. But as I'm currently in the middle of it, I'm trying to keep my peace of mind.
Yeah, because there's so much that's like unknown. Like when you're moving, it's a lot of unknown, and then you're throwing in retiring. That's a whole nother situation. My friend just retirement itself. And it's funny because I didn't realize how much a responsibility was on the spouse in retirement until I had two girlfriends recently go through it. And I was like, what? You have to do what? And she's like, yeah, it's a lot of work. So are you guys setting up, how do you manage the day-to-day with that? What do you use? A lot of automated systems? Do you have help? How do you guys work your schedule since you guys are so on demand?
There's not a lot of help. And we kind of just stay in a place where we're communicating with each other. And before we decided to move, because we're moving back home, before we decided, or when we decided to do that, we had like a real conversation. I was like, okay, babe, so we know that anxiety is a real thing. I know that there are things that are important to me and there are things that are important to you. So how can we meet in the middle where I'm not stressing you out and you're not stressing me out.
Right.
And that conversation has helped so much because I'm aware of what will keep him calm, what's important to him, and he's aware of what I need during this process. And also I want to say with the transition, a couple of the things that I have done we are going back to where we're from, which is in Florida. Over the years when I've visited home, I have people that I've connected with that are mompreneurs that are there. So when I would go home, hey, let's do lunch, let's meet up. And it kind of has allowed us to build a relationship over the last couple of years. So now it's a case where, hey, how can we work together? Hey, I'm coming home, what can we do to collaborate? What's going on? What's the hot spots? What will work that's aligned with my brand? So even though I am in the middle of this transition of going there, it's a way that I've kind of like prepared a type of cushion or some type of plan that I can go home and kind of go ahead and start doing when I get there, so that it's some continuum.
So networking and planting the seeds throughout the years have helped. And I believe in that 1,000%, because you never know when your cross are going to pass. I mean, it's so crazy. It will happen.
And I never, even before we decided that we were going there, my desire was not to just be local.
Right.
I always wanted to cross the state borders. I'm like, no, this is gonna be big. I'm not trying to, it's small business, but I wanted to grow. So having that long-term goal in mind has allowed me to plant seeds, like you say, and prepare for where it is I want to be eventually.
Right. Wow. That's so exciting. I love hearing the story. I love seeing the vision. It's going to happen. I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about some of the favorite tools you use from day to day to manage your business.
So I think I'm getting better at that, but I am not the guru, to be honest.
None of us are.
But I definitely, I like to use Canva. Canva helps me out with using my graphics. Hootsuite is one that I'm starting to kind of play with scheduling your posts and things, because when you have a business page, when you have a public figure page, when you have a private group, it starts to pile up. And then kids, and then you have your house, and then you have your spouse. So all of that together, it starts to be a lot of eggs in that basket. So I'm working on doing more with the scheduling part of it. But right now, what I like to do, and it's not tech, it's just kind of like me. I sit down before the week starts and I write everything out that I want to do for that week. And then the night before, if it's Monday night, I'm like, okay, these are the specific things I'm going to do on Tuesday.
You set your goals.
Yes, and it helps me to stay focused, because when life gets chaotic, which it does, it helps me to say, okay, well, I at least accomplished these 3 things.
Right. And I think sometimes we forget. We every day, and we all do this as entrepreneurs. When you're an entrepreneur, you're consistently thinking of new ways to do stuff, but also I feel like we're the hardest on ourselves. And we have such big goals that when we chip away a little bit at a time, we don't give ourselves enough credit.
We don't.
We really don't. And I've been practicing grace all year for myself.
Sometimes I'll stop and I'll say, man, look what I did. It's almost like it surprises me, because I'm so focused on, like you say, the big goal, that it's like, but I actually did this, accomplished, and then this is coming up. I'm about to be featured in a book. That's a big deal. Super excited about it. And I'm in the process of writing my own. So
awesome.
So it's like I have to stop and let them say, go girl. Okay, you did that.
Yeah.
On that, celebrate it. Now keep moving.
Celebrate the small wins, not just what the end goal is. Whatever your end objective for your entire brand or your business is, celebrate as you're going, not just when you get there, because I think those make it more valuable or rememberable. So we have to give ourselves more grace.
We do. We absolutely do, because like you say, I think it keeps us going, because if we're focusing on, because sometimes things fall through. It didn't work out the way you wanted it to, and you get stuck right there. And it's like, but look what did work. Right. Look what you didn't plan that found you. and work out, you know, and it's being pretty awesome. Like this, you found me. I didn't know about this group, and I think it's such an amazing community.
Oh.
When I was looking through it, I love the idea, and I love all of it. But that found me, you know what I'm saying? I didn't plan for it, and I appreciate it. So it's like, okay.
Yeah, and a lot of the things that you're talking about, there's a lot of spouses that have transitioned out, and you're able to pop in and say, hey, so this is where I'm at, this is what I'm doing. Anybody have any tips on this? Or, you know, like that's what it's for, right? So why reinvent the wheel?
Yeah.
When their answers are out there, instead of us being out here all by ourselves wondering what, right?
Yeah.
Canva, by the way, is a very popular, everybody in our group uses Canva.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I feel like I'm like really doing something.
Right? I feel like a designer when I'm done with something. I'm like,
look at this.
I did that.
Yeah, my team handled that. My fingers.
You know, because when you first start your business, you're the VA, you're the designer, you're billing, you're the brand.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. So, hey, Canva makes you
so many hats. So many hats. So yeah, really exciting. I want to hear a little bit about, to go back to covered cubs, I want to ask you a little bit about what types of advice do you give parents that are feeling that way, that they feel, you know, powerless or anything? What kind of advice do you have, or tips, not advice, but more like tips? What are your top 3 tips that you would give a spouse who's like, oh my gosh, she's so right? Because they're going to watch this and going to be like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And then, but they're going to want to know more. So what are the things they should be looking for, or tips that you can give them to prevent somebody if they don't have your tag? If they don't have your tag yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Covercubs.com. So what I would definitely say is to be aware of your surroundings.
Okay.
Be aware of where you are. I saw a video really shortly. I saw a video of a mom who was pushing her baby in a cart, and she turned around. She's right there. She turned around to reach for something, and a guy picked her baby up.
What?
Yeah. So with me, it was always like extra heightened because I had 2 to protect.
Right.
And so just always be aware of your surroundings. Never ignore how you feel, because they are your children. They are your responsibility. So if you feel like you don't want someone to touch them, or if you feel like you don't, whatever is happening, if you feel like you don't want anybody to pick them up right now, you don't have to explain yourself. Do what you feel. Say what you need to say. And you don't have to be mean about it, but you have to mean it.
Yeah.
A lot of parents say, I don't want people to think that I'm being mean. You don't have to be mean, but you do need to mean what you say.
Right.
Be frank about it. So be aware of your surroundings, trust how you feel, and mean what you say.
I love it. I love it. So tell us a little bit about the next step. So you did mention here you're going to be in the Amazing Moms. Where can we find that at?
It's going to be on Amazon. Hogan Hilling and Elise Cohen are the authors. He is also the author of Dadly Dads. That book is currently out. And he highlights moms, their accomplishments, what they would say to other moms, advice that helped them as moms. So I think it's going to be a really great book because it's a wide span of different types.
Well, I'm excited. I can't wait to read it. Make sure you share it with us when it comes out so that we can all go buy it too. Give us a few tips to somebody who wants to create a product, because I'm not a maker. We talked about this earlier. I'm not a maker. I wouldn't even know the logistics on creating a product or anything of that magnitude. What are like a couple of tips you could give somebody who wants to start a product line? What would be the first couple of steps, advice you'd give them?
The first thing I would ask is, what is it that you're trying to communicate? So what's the purpose and whatever it is that you're making, and then sit down and write that out so that you're clear. Because before you can communicate what it is to someone else, whether it's words on a shirt or whether it's a cute design, crochet, whatever, just whatever it is you want to communicate, be clear on that. And the next thing that I would say is do your research, because there are different avenues that you can go. We had to do a lot of research. We knew what we wanted. Our car seat tag is 100% silicone. We want it to be safe for babies to handle. So if a baby puts it in their mouth, they're not going to get any toxins or anything like that. So that required research. And then the next thing I would say is, with your research, do price points too, because you don't want to live outside of your means. You know, we all have these big dreams and these big goals, but you want to do what's attainable for you. Yeah.
Awesome. I love all those tips. And I think that the research is mandatory. I feel like, researching the name, researching if there's somebody else who has it out, who's already done it. And if they have done it and you still want to do it, how can you make it 10 times better?
Yeah. And that's a big part too, when it comes to like choosing a name. Like you said, we sat down and I had a name that I wanted to use initially, couldn't do it. And I was so like, I get married to stuff quick. I dive in.
Right. You're passionate. Are you an A type personality?
I think I am.
Yeah, I'm super passionate.
Because mine is not. He's not. So I'm very like, this is my thing. I'm very outgoing, outspoken, passionate, like you say. So we balance each other super well.
Yeah.
But yeah, you want to research that name. And once we got Covered Cubs, like we both just looked at each other and I was like,
I love it.
Yeah, so it's a lioness, type brand, and the Cubs are.
It makes sense. I love it. You didn't pick something out of the sky.
Right. And that's why we say helping parents protect their pride. This is your lion pride. And when you need to be fierce about it, do that.
Get them, girl. I love it. I love everything about it. So I'm going to get into our fun lightning round. Yeah. A little bit about you. Tell us since we're coming up on the holidays, what's your favorite holiday and why? Like, do you have a special holiday tradition?
Hello, Christmas. It's just so warm. It's so loving. It's like the whole world is a family during Christmas. And I have a really big family, so I like it when everybody feels that way.
I love it. How about, what is your favorite TV show?
Oh, I have so many. Say hi.
Hi. It's okay. My son has popped in here on some interviews, girl, please.
I'm coming, okay. All right. My favorite TV show.
It's okay. You can be honest.
It's Grey's Anatomy is one of them.
I haven't seen that in years. I need to get back on.
Everybody was talking about it when it first came out, and I'm like the person that'll do the opposite. I'm like, okay, if everybody's talking about it, let me find something else. But one day there was a marathon on, and I sat there and cried through every episode that I saw. Like, who makes a show like this?
Right. One of the episodes where they had that plane crash. Did you watch that one yet? My daughter happened to be watching that with me like 5 years ago or whatever. And to this day, she's like, that show was the bomb. The whole scene where this was broken and that. And I'm like, how do you even remember? Like, I feel like that was like.
Did you see the hospital shooting?
No.
Are you serious? That was like the 2-hour finale of one. And I was like by myself screaming and calling friends like, oh my God, wait, the commercial's off. Let me go. It was pretty good.
Oh my gosh. So that's exciting. And share with me, like, if you had a special power, what would it be?
I would want. Okay, can I pick a superhero instead of a special power?
You can.
Okay, great. I would want to be Rogue because she can take other people's powers and do whatever she wants to do.
Whoa, that is deep.
Well, pick one superpower. I have the power to take yours.
Right, and then be like, and have every superpower ever.
Yeah, just for a minute, I'll give it back.
Awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about where we can find you, anything else you have coming up. Tell us where we can find the book again, and how we can connect with you if anybody has questions on how to start a business like this.
Okay, so you can find me on Facebook at Tiffany Eve Speaks. You can email me at tiffanyl@coveredcubs.com. My website for purchasing is also coveredcubs.com. You can reach out to me on my email about speaking, any questions you may have, if you're interested in a workshop. The book Amazing Moms, I think it's going to be on Amazon, but it's going to be released later this month. So I'm definitely going to be posting that on my page at Tiffany Eve Speaks. And yeah, I think that's it. That's it.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited and honored for you to have joined us today. I'm really excited. Thank you for sharing your journey, your story, how you do MilSpouse entrepreneur life here with our community. And MilSpouse Creatives, don't forget to log in and plug in with us every week for another MilSpouse influencer crushing interview. Thank you so much for joining us, Tiffany.
Yes, thank you.
We'll talk to you later. Bye, guys.